All right, it's episode number 2, Blending Voices, Creating Legacy. We have an amazing guest here today, but I wanted to share a story. This morning, I joined about 15 other amazing innovators from Solera as we walked the streets of the district in downtown Washington, D.C. I couldn't help but notice individuals getting in and out of Ubers. I saw several Lime scooters lining the streets. And I reflected on the fact that I'm about to put in front of everybody in our organization and to all of our listeners out there, Jessie Lucci, the founder and CEO of AllieHealth. How incredible that somebody who led organizations like Uber and Lime and generative AI before it was even a thing decided to join our amazing industry because of the exploration and the ability to elevate. So without further ado, I introduce you to none other than the founder and CEO of AllieHealth, Jessie Lucci.
Yay. Thank you. That was quite an introduction. Hi, everyone. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. So, Jessie, you grew up in a city in northern China, 13 million people. Tell us what that was like.
Yeah, I was born and raised in China. It's a city on the northern part of the country called Tianjin. It's the city right next to Beijing, has 13 million people. I lived with my mom and dad. My mom was a teacher. My dad was a factory worker. And we had this one-child policy. So, I was the only child, like all other Chinese families. So growing up, I have a lot of time to spend with my family. Starting from age 4, I started to practice accordion. According to my dad, I saw accordion, someone playing accordion, I would just back him to getting accordion, and he got me started on, taking lessons. And starting from age 5, I compete every single summer. And to prepare for that, I practice 5 hours every single day. We didn't have air conditioning growing up. So, after, a long practice session in the summer, if you know accordion is like all the basses and keys are in the front and it's strapped to your body with 2 belts. So after 5 hours practice sessions, you'll see, the red indentation, the marks on your back. And like all kids, I would just beg my parents, say, hey, can I get a break? I'm tired, I'm hot. I always remember my parents would say, you know what? We didn't ask you or expect you to be professional accordion players. We just want you to understand, whatever you want to do in life, you want to be the best. No matter you want to be a teacher, you want to be a business person, you want to make ramen, make the best ramen in the world. But that takes hard work. So, I just got along with the ride. Before age 10, I was the national champion for accordion playing. But that always stick with me, in terms of like early on in life, they're trying to teach me is like, it takes hard work. It's not going to be easy and it's going to take hard work. But yeah.
It's incredible. I'm going to share a really full circle moment right now. Stacey Updegrove actually knows this story, and I shared it with Jessie as we talked about the podcast. But one of the most inspiring teachers to me, Mr. Greenspan, he taught me in 4th grade. He introduced me to the World Wide Web. I was part of a group called the Tech Trekkies. Oh. He also played the accordion, and I know all 42 presidents at that time because of a song that he wrote on his accordion. Truth be told, Mr. Greenspan unfortunately suffered from Alzheimer's, and I ended up moving him into an assisted living and memory care community in which Stacey and I worked. And so when I heard your story about the accordion, I couldn't help but reflect on how amazing he was and how full circle it was that he had the opportunity to teach me, engage me into technology, what we're here for, what your foundation of your organization is built on. And, ultimately just really inspired me and then had the ability to truly create meaningful memories for the rest of his life. So I appreciate you sharing about the accordion, and it really brought back some really impressive memories for me, but he was a special individual. So you talked about training as a competitive accordion player. You practiced 5 hours a day, becoming national champion before age 10. How did that discipline translate into how you lead and build your team today?
Yeah, for sure. I think it really just helped me understand unconsciously early on in life it's not supposed to be easy. Any dreams that worth chasing it's going to be hard. It's going to be a long journey is going to be takes grit, resilience. I mean, I was lucky enough to get to see, at the front stage for other, like founders. I get to work at Uber early on and Lime early on and get to see, like those like generational founders, like how they experience that as well. Like, like everyone get to see is, the TechCrunch stories, the unlimited growth, but it's really just, I think, is people solving problem in the not sexy way. A lot of time you have to hustle, you have to, build the things that doesn't scale to begin with, to learn from customer day in and day out. But it's hard work. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, no, mom and dad both played really pivotal roles in you growing up. You told us the story about
Yeah.
them, effectively saying, whatever you do, you're just going to be the best at it and you're going to train really hard. Tell us about the influence they had on you and how they shaped who you are today.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely a lot of people influence on my life. I always just say my dad is probably the most influential person to me. Um, like early on, he will always tell me just to study hard because he says, if you study hard, your knowledge, your skill set, your curiosity, and your ability to solve problem is your ticket to freedom. The freedom to build anything that's meaningful to you is the ticket to America, the land of the dreams where people use amazing technology to build amazing things. And I didn't realize until recently, I reflected on that. I was like, I really accidentally or unconsciously followed that path because I got to move to America right after college. I finished my master's degree at Northwestern and I was an operator in tech for 10 years. But nowadays I get to learn, from not only just like learn from the customers, the operators, but also get to learn from founders and my team members as well. That was very lucky of me and having the parents I have.
Absolutely. How about your mom? Tell us a little bit about her and how she influenced who you are today.
Yeah, my mom is someone who's just driven. I think like if you ask all my mom's friends, like they would say like she's very, very driven. So she will self set up a goal for her and she would just go after it. Her recent goal is to learn English. Every single day. By the way, like my parents, we have a lot of kids, and my parents help out with the kids. And my mom lived under our roof. And every single morning, like when I wake up, no matter it's like early as 5 o'clock or sometimes like 6 o'clock, you will see my mom's light is always on. She will just be practicing English phrase by phrase, sentence by sentence. Sometimes I joke about it. I was like, hey, just talk to my kids and the husband or me, we can learn English that way. But, she prefer her own way. But she will never fail. She will get up at 5 a.m. in the morning, practice her English. That's her most recent goal. And that's really, really inspiring.
Impressive. So you alluded to, your four kids.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about each of them and, how they push you to want to continue to build AllieHealth. I reflect on being in Austin probably 4 months ago now.
Yeah.
And I told Jessie that I was going to be in town. Unbeknownst to me, Jessie was pregnant at the time. And unbeknownst to me, Jessie was going to be induced in labor the next day. So that's the type of individual we have here today. She worked right up until that point and even walked me through how she had a call set for 30 minutes the next day. And she had hoped she could still take that and ensure that her customers were cared for. So for our listeners, for all of you here, that's the type of individual we're sitting next to. But I know how big of an influence your kids play on you. Tell us a little bit about each of them and, what ideals and what passions you're sharing that were passed down from your parents to your four kids.
Yeah. But before I talk about that, I want to talk about it just like the reason I think it's just natural for me to think about like supporting our operators. Like I was an operator, like operations is 24/7. The Uber doesn't shut down because, it's Christmas Day is New Year's Eve. In fact, New Year's Eve is our largest day ever. We spend so much time prepping and working through that. Like July 4th is our largest day on Lime scooters. Like that day off, our team all rallied up across the country, like on Zoom or, like in warehouse, we prepare for that day. So, I always think about is like, hey, our operators are operating 24/7, communities, even the doors close at nighttime, there's still people serving our residents. So, we should support our operator the same way as well.
Well, I could speak to that firsthand. From the onset in the first launch in the early days of AllieHealth at Austin, you were beside our caregivers day in, night, overnight, third shift. You spent time at our community in truly Evanston with every single individual, and I can tell you how appreciative every single person in this audience is, especially for your technology and what you've created for us.
No,
So,
thank you.
yeah,
Yeah. So, yeah, we have 4 kids from age 8 to 8, 5, 2.5, and newborn. I think sometimes people tend to think, I was like, people always are surprised when I tell them, oh, I have 4 kids. But for me, they're my motivation, if you will. Means, building a company is hard, or doing something that's worth doing is hard. And for me, the biggest motivation is like, hey, I want to make sure my kids get the frontline seat of seeing me taking risk, seeing me trying and try again. My daughters, the older ones, they know my KPIs. You have no idea how humble it is. Like when you put them to bed right before bedtime, they ask like, "Oh, Mama, did you do this?" I was like, well, "That they are my accountability partner." Uh, but also a special moment for me is, like last New Year, we took our girls to Italy. We want them to see the world. We did all the touristy things. And one of the things we did, we went to the Travis Fountain, when you make wishes. And I saw my 4-year-old, like toss the coin and made a really long wish. I was like almost a minute, for a 4-year-old, that was incredible just to stay still for a minute. And I asked her, I was like, what wish do you make? And she said, I want Mama and Mama's business to have dream come true. I mean, her she's still forming her grammar, and I said, "Oh, wow, that's this really special moment for me because it means so much to them. They get to see me on this journey. They get to see me excited and cares and try again. And for me, I think about it's like especially for our girls, when they grow up and I want them to think like all dreams are possible. Like no matter what they want to do, like all things are possible. And it's going to be hard. They're going to get knocked down and they're going to get back up. And I hope, at least maybe I can be that unconscious, I wouldn't say role model is example or just like have them see it growing up. So yeah, that's very special for me.
yeah, I think that's incredible. As you know, I have 3 boys myself,
Yeah.
and those, values of work ethic in which my parents instilled in me, I try to instill that in the boys. And so I think it's so meaningful and so appropriate for everyone to see how powerful of an individual you can be and a leader to your team and to the business and to us as operators, yet still be present and make such an impact that, your own child would wish for you to continue
Yeah.
massive success. So,
That was my screensaver. I took a photo of that and I just put it on my screen. When days get long and hard, you look at it, it's like, they are my motivation partner. So,
absolutely. I'd love before we shift gears into Alley Health, the one last story.
yeah.
I know it's a little bit vulnerable, but I'm just again shows your commitment to the operation. Let's talk about child number 3. You're in Denver on a business trip. What happens, Jessie?
um, uh, how did you find that out?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was our the first community we piloted with, and our product was in very very beginning. And so it was like 3 weeks before due date, and I told my husband, it's like, oh, by the way, I'm going to like fly to Denver to to learn from the community and launch there and learn from the caregivers. My husband's question is like, "Hey, like, are you allowed to fly this close before the due date?" I was like, "Oh," I said the doctor didn't say anything because I didn't ask the doctor. Um, so I was there. I severely underestimated the altitude problem, the challenge, and so I was there like every single day. I was trying to train the night shift, alongside of day shift at shift change. And on Saturday, like I decided to take a break. I wanted to, like actually scheduled brunch with my friend, previous friend at Lime. But at Saturday, 3 a.m. in the morning, I started to have contraction. I was like, "Go back to sleep. It's a stomach ache. Go back to sleep." Um, at 6 o'clock, that's not going away. So I first text my head of engineering. At the point of time was our founding engineer. I was like, "Steven, like baby's coming. Baby Mikey is coming." and and he texts me back says, "Jessie, go take care of Mikey. I'll take care of Allie." That was a very special moment for me. Then I text my friend who was supposed to have lunch. I was like, Sam, there's no, like, we're not going to have brunch. Take me to the hospital. Then I text my husband, which is a third person on the list of order, who was not very happy about it. Um, but yeah, it's like I ended up working out. We stayed in the hospital for 24 hours. They were able to maintain it. And so, we were like my husband and I were able to flew out the next morning, so we can actually deliver in Austin. So
If that doesn't speak to the most amazingly dedicated individual you are to our operators and to our operation, it's incredible. So obviously, we shared briefly, you had massive successes at Uber and Lime, but decided to venture out and, develop AllieHealth. Tell us how that happened.
yeah, I think like a lot of people in the audience, like it all starts from family. So for us, for me personally, it started from, like a family journey looking for a community for grandma. And so I get to see the walkie-talkie, the beepers, the fax machines. But what really is the aha moment for me is like this is a place for me is I as an operator I couldn't get it out of my brain, so I quit my job. I work as a caregiver at a senior living community in Austin area. Yeah, so I went in, interviewed with the ED. I told the ED I didn't know how to operate a wheelchair, but I will wipe all the butts that need to be wiped. Let me just go around and ask questions. So for me, because I did not come from senior living, it's a very different industry, right? I mean, Uber, Lime. But what I learned from Uber, Lime is like, the founder always tell us, the founders say, hey, you got to put yourself in the shoes of the users. Got to see the problem because it's very easy for people to learn with their brain, but not their heart. And when you learn with your heart, the product, the experience, you care a lot more. The experience will be a lot better. So yeah, I worked as a caregiver for a month and a half. It was one of the most challenging jobs I had. Honestly, I thought I had a pretty challenging job overseeing the operations for Lime and Uber. Was waking up in the middle of the night with some challenges there, but like that's where I realized, like the staff work so hard. They are the ray of sunshine. When you walk into the room at 6 a.m. in the morning, you are the person, open up the curtain, brighten up the room with your energy. And that's a very humbling experience as well. It's 8 hours pushing, lifting. Once in a while, in the process of aging, no one is super excited. Like sometimes when they're not feeling well, so you get yelled at from time to time. But it's really something, the feeling that stuck with me in terms of who are we really serving? Like, not on one side, we want to make sure all our product achieve the performance, the KPI, the NOI. But on the other side, we really want to delight the hero who deliver care every single day, the server who delivered food every single day, housekeeper who enhance the experience, the hospitality of the seniors experience. Um, if you don't mind to come back to it, it's like sometimes I realize, like so between like my junior and senior year in college, I actually got myself an internship in Ghana. um, I never went abroad before, and I just a kid wanted to see the world. So I somehow found this internship experience. They pay for the flight and obviously cover the cost. And fun fact, that was my first flight ever on a plane. I was in the Beijing airport. I remember I called my friend. It's like, how do you get on the plane? By the way, but when I got there, I remembered like it was a wow moment to see how different people lived on the other side of a world, how hard they worked, and but they have that sense of joy. Like the joy is like I don't know. Like for me, it's the 21 years old. You get to see with your eyes. It's like they laugh, they dance, they celebrate communities. Like even though if you think about you grade with materialism, it's like they have very little. Um, for me, that's a sense of learning of like life is such a gift. And also, no matter where you live, what you have, who you are, we're a human being first. And that sense of joy we all long for is very, very contagious. Um, so for me, like later on in my career, I live in the numbers and operation, the performance, and obviously through the arm of technology, but something like of that joy always stick with me. And when we think about product development, think about, like no matter screen by screen designing, hey, can I make sure the caregiver smile? Can we give the operator release, ease of mind, give them the time back? Or can we fly confetti fly, give them, like write quirky messages and delight their day? But also on the other side, making sure they have the ease of mind, obviously, making sure this is a profitable business. I think that really just like it ingrained in me at some level of like to learn what's hard and to seek for that joy. And honestly, it's kind of addictive in a way because when you see that, sometimes I still go to train staff. No matter it's our AI scheduling tool, our nurse call, or our documentation app. I love to see like the moment their eyes light up and they will say, sometimes they will say, hell yeah. And that gets me really, really excited. And when they don't, I will ask like, hey, where's confusing? Where doesn't work? Like which step block you? What are you looking for? Is there a button that's not clear? Is there a page that loading's too slow? Those are the things, those are the tiny, tiny little things that matters, I think. That's one of the reasons we're very lucky, like with the reserve at Austin Community. We even brought our engineers to shadow as caregivers. Like after they shadow for, 8 hours, they're all smart, like capable individual problem solvers. And when they all shadow the shift, you start to see their conversation get like with a lot more understanding of the workflow. And when that happens, it's such a beautiful thing because, like in the code base, on a daily basis, it makes so many decisions that I don't get to see individually. And just knowing they get to experience that, they get to care and learn what's hard as individual versus someone who pat their head says, I know the workflow better than you. I think this should work is always going to make the experience so much better.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So obviously your trip to Ghana, attending college there gave you so much perspective. Being a caregiver did the same for you in wanting to branch out and build AllieHealth. Talk us through a moment while acting as a caregiver when when you realized the inefficiencies and how AllieHealth, which was just a dream at that point, could become a reality. And you had that aha or light bulb moment to say, I'm doing what I should be doing right now.
Yeah, that's a good question. There's so many moments. I mean, one of them is like as a caregiver, I deliver at least a quarter of the care. I delivered on the floor every single day. It's not scheduled, not documented. And like on night shift, I cover a floor of 20 people. There's always like one or two folks needs a lot of care, and that takes about like a third of my shift. Sometimes I'll get nosy. I'll went to the ED's office. I was like, hey, are those residents, like scheduled care at that level or paying for the care, having the right amount of labor? I always think about with my operator head. It's like that match. The challenge for the ED is like, hey, you know what? The family says they're independent. They believe they don't need that care. It's a struggle for me. And also, I remember my day one. I was shadowing a caregiver during my break time. The nurse call started to ring, and I stood up. Like decided to go to the room, and the caregiver I shadowed told me, "Jessie, you sit down, finish your lunch, then you go." I was like, "That's not right." Uh, the caregiver said, "What's in there for you? What's in there for you for running over there?" It's a question I don't know how to answer at that moment. Um, and on the other side, I also get to see, on the labor, the efficiency side, like it was a backdrop with the COVID, so there are days when I'm on shift, I see certain staff is always doing a double. And that person's always hiding behind the mic card, just sitting there. And again, I went to the ED's office, again, very nosy. They said, like, why this person's here all the time? The ED says, oh, she takes shifts. So like those are nuggets of moments that, like I tell my engineers, I tell my, our team all the time. It's like, hey, we want to think about, like, do we have the right incentive? Do we have a right alignment? Do we have the ease of use? Do we have, and in all in honest, is like how every single segment user consume technology very differently as well. That's the other thing I learned is, initially we built this fancy dashboard. We gave it to the operator, realized they don't use it. And I was always excited. I was like, hey, we have so much great data in there. And operator said, I'm all data fatigued. And it's a lot of dashboard we have to log into and realize operator told us like, hey, like these are things I need to see. This is thing I want to care about. Alert me when this happens. So we rebuild a lot of our product block by block, follow the journey and the requests and for the customers, and that's it's just interesting learning for me.
Yeah. Share many experiences where you went into the executive director's office to provide insight on what's happening. Can you recount any stories or any interactions with the residents that really resonated with you that you think would be impactful for our listeners and the team to hear?
Yeah, I think that my personal experience, like they're there, they want to thrive. I still, to this day, have my favorite resident. It just pull your heartstring. Even though I know I'm there just for research, I'm there for like no more than 2 months period. Um, every time I walk into that residence room, we'll start talking about like she's very tacky. We'll start to talk about technology focus, talk about technology, and and it is something that brighten up that person's day, and it's due to something they want. They want to have that sense of belonging. They want to have that like sense that you know them, you care about them. I have a negative experience. The same time as like, hey, one of the residents developed a skin rash before the shift I started. I walk into the room, had no clue and it just sensed something was wrong, like, so the residents was like staring at me. I was like, what did I do wrong? Anything I need to know? I had no clue. I transferred the residents, like, lift her up, touched her skin rash, and that was such a miserable experience. She had to scream because of pain. And, like, sometimes I think about, we want technology to be fully integrated across all the platforms to be able to help the people who serve, like automatically understand what happened before, what you need to know, what do they like and don't like, so they can form, like a like not only just like your favorite colors and like sports team, but also like what happened, your health journey as well, so can really better serve that residents.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Obviously, again, I'm just so enamored by the fact that you've left such high powered tech companies to fuel our industry outside of, your grandmother and her experience. What else motivated you to make that change, and what else motivates you daily to get out of bed and keep elevating and evolving your product for our operators?
Yeah. Um, I would say a key piece for me is that intellectual challenge, if you may. No matter what problem you're solving, it's that you're solving with pieces of puzzles, and it's very interesting, and it's also feels like it's like a climb. I always tell our team and my daughters, as and my sons are fairly young, so I tell my daughters like, hey, like whatever you want to do, the problem you want to solve, first of all, always follow the problem. It's not about I have a software, I want to sell it to you. I have a product, you got to use it. It's about, how are we solving the right problem? Is that a acute painful problem? And are we solving it with the right way, the most efficient way, that tactful, like, and take advantage of the technology as well. But when I think about it, it's like a climb, right? And you get to see the vision, which is a mountaintop, and there's no clear path. And sometimes when you look at it, once in a while, from time to time, it gets overwhelming. But if you really just like sometimes just bring your head down, look at it, it's at the end of a day, it's one step at a time. Either it's a step towards the right direction, or it's a misstep, will reroute and like reveal what is the next right step. So I always tell my team is like, hey, you know what? Don't get overwhelmed. First of all, sometimes we underestimate how capable we are. Second of all, we just have to keep going because the answer is in the journey. And our job is to step by step move as fast as we can, figure out the path, and no one will know the clear path from the very beginning. And the faster we go, the velocity we have for learning to pivoting to adjusting, the faster we get to our goal to serve our customers. Um, that's a very, I mean, for me, it's like a very challenging and, like as a fun experience.
Yeah, no, for sure. I found a lot of comfort in you explaining how you support your team to find those breakthroughs. I think one of the hardest things as we integrate technology into our business is those failures. Even though we take 10 steps forward with the integration of technology, one setback causes discomfort for our team and they may not trust the technology. Talk to us, could be at Uber, could be at Line, could be in the early days of AllieHealth. What type of failures did you experience and what did you learn from that in terms of the tech integration?
Yeah, for sure. Um, to start off, it's like, it's a journey of figuring out. And for a fact, can no one have it all figured out? I think that it takes the innovator's courage to get on that journey and figure it out. Sometimes it's the right answer, sometimes it's not, as Phil, as you said. Um, one of the experience, I learned, actually, if you think about it, good question. Um, actually, one of the examples I think about is like at early on, like at Uber, the blockage of the growth. It's always we don't have enough drivers. We don't have enough drivers. Like it's something like every single person in the company says every single day. I remember my day one on my first year at Uber, like every single week I have to bring thousands of drivers start a trip on the Uber platform. Like whatever the channel, whatever the solution you got to do, go for it. And it was very exciting and as someone who loved learning and experimenting on it. And obviously not every single channel we experimented all worked out. For example, like early on, one of the teams in North America said, oh, wouldn't it be cool if we just talk to every single driver at the gas station while they're pumping gas to say, hey, do you want to sign up on Uber? If you sign up on Uber, I give you $50 gift cards. And because that will really be a brand new channel beyond SEO, search engine optimization, the SEM, the search words, and the social and the referral channel to open up a brand new driver acquisition channel. And we thought, as a company, thought that's the best idea ever because we gas stations are everywhere. It's not that hard to sign them up. And we tried as a company, it turned into one of the global initiative. Um, and every single city operations, we have at least one or two person, just go around to every single gas station in the city to sign up, allow us to bring a brand ambassador at the gas station, to potentially talk to people who pumping out gas, to sign up on Uber. And if you just look at our, top line in terms of driver acquisition, we suddenly see, wow, this is thousands, tens of thousands, 100,000 acquisition of drivers sign up. We have never seen before compared to all the other smaller channel we tested it out. But, like quickly, a few weeks in, we realized, oh, most of them don't convert. Means like they sign up, they get the gift card, they never will finish the documentation of, like uploading a driver's license or insurance registration. And even they do, they don't drive or drive maybe one trip and they churned. So if we think about like, and we did analysis across all the markets we operate that, it's like, hey, if you think about driver acquisition costs, CAC or a customer acquisition costs, like we're talking about 5 or 6x more expensive on that channel, even though it brought us a lot of signups. But it's one of the channels we're glad we tried because I think, like you I think this is our experimentation of learning and allowing everyone in the company to understand, you know what, it's okay. It's okay to try and fail because the slowness is the thing that kills a company. It's the intimidation from the newest opportunity. But when I think we just got to have the intellectual honesty to say, hey, you know what? We tried. This is the result. We're glad we put our effort in it. This is data telling us this is not the right channel. But like they empowered every single operations team around the world to try other channels. Later on, we found some referral channel really with low acquisition costs, with higher retention of driver acquisition worked out. But we wouldn't get there without, from a company level as cultures like run as fast as you can from all different directions to find the source of truth. First, being intellectually honest to understand we don't know the source of truth. We don't know what is the best channel to acquire the best driver and try it and to be able to reflect on it. Oh, well, we made a mistake. Let's move on. But to be able to obviously build some guardrails, making sure things don't go out of hand, but at the same time, encourage every single person to be the problem solver versus every single person to sit there waiting for things to happen to them.
Absolutely. I think everybody in this room, finding talent resonates with them. The trial and error resonates with them. And I think ultimately I want everyone to take away from it that tech integration is hard. Our business is hard. But for every 10 steps forward, even if we take 3 steps back, we have to celebrate the taking of 7 steps forward. And I think that is something that is really important perspective as we look at integrating more technology and being bigger disruptors in the industry.
Can I add on something?
You can.
Um, I always think about like we call ourselves a startup. Like we always want to stay in like what's the naming of startup? Why? Because I think startup is not a phase. A lot of times think, oh, startup is a small company or is some company just started. I think startup is a mentality. You're always excited to solve and find the best answers to the problem we solve. And one of the examples actually I got to see with, like firsthand, actually, when I was at Lime. It's a fun story because it got to be 2018, 2019. And it was our Bay Area team. For whatever reason, we just saw every single scooter has, a geolocation. So for whatever reason, every single day around in the afternoon period, there's like 100 scooters automatically just gathered around this like a warehouse area. And I was like, what's going on? Now, that's not like a touristy area. It's not downtown. It's not people. It's not a destination. I was like, what's going on? We dispatched one of our drivers to look into it. We found out that's an Amazon warehouse. And Amazon was billions of dollars of market cap. That was their team innovating, hustling, experimenting to our delivery with our scooters. So for me, Amazon is a startup, and I hope, if we do the job right at AllieHealth, we'll continue to be the startup years and years after. So,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
Looking forward, when you look at senior living, what excites you most about where you personally are headed and Allie Health?
Yeah. I'm personally very excited about, like everyone talk about AI, but I think AI is a toolkit for us to help give the time back for our operators. Like we already seen a lot of success using AI in our existing solutions, not only, make things easier, surface opportunities, you can generate, summarize insight, tell people you might have been missing this and that, but also further double down on, using the technology as technology mature with the AI agent. Because as an operator, I always remember the feeling as I have more things I can handle and finish to do than the time I have. Not only just show me the data, not only tell me the insight, not only tell me the action that I need to take without me downloading any report, looking across 5 different systems, but please do it for me. that's something I'm really, really excited about. I'm not saying, hey, we'll automatically do everything, but, we will tell you, hey, these are the actions can be action upon. We graph, these are the, like performance or, like actions for you. Do you approve? Do you agree? Do you want to tweak certain things and just let it go? Do it for me. So at the end of the day, I think what AI cannot replace is that human connection. And a lot of time me personally, oh, sorry, um, are tied to my desk way too long every single day. And the meaningful impact, I think, as an operator, we can all create is having that meaningful connection from having conversations, building relationship, building culture. And that's not a software or hardware or a robot can do it like with no matter the technology tool it is. And we want to make sure we use the technology to really enable and supercharge everyone and to give you the time back and do the things and building the connections that we all long for and that's meaningful for the customers and the ecosystem we serve.
Incredible. Jessie, your journey has inspired many leaders already. What do you hope the next generation of leaders, your children, those close to you, will take from your journey thus far into the future?
Yeah. Um, I think about that from time to time. I think from different group of people, I wish them different things. So for example, for my team, I always tell them and I hope them remember is that confidence alongside the journey you gain that I can figure it out, nobody can take away from you. Is that confidence that can take you to the next journey, your next mission that you're so excited about to solve that problem you didn't know how to solve at the beginning of the day. And that's something I want them to remember because I feel very lucky to get to learn that at Uber and Line. And for my daughters, my sons, and my kids, I want them to see like they can take risks. They're in the best country in the world to take risk. And it's not going to be easy, but no dream is too big for them. It's going to be step by step. You're going to get knocked down. You have to get back up and you have to put in that work and work ethic. And no matter what they want to do in life, they are capable for it. Those are the things I think that's the best thing I can do for them is like to have that ingrained in their brain so they get to achieve their full potential.
Spectacular. Jessie, you have inspired me from our first meeting, your story, you giving up a career in corporate America, building some of the biggest tech companies out there, and took a risk to disrupt our industry. For that, I'm forever grateful. I hope our listeners, I hope everybody here enjoys every bit of your story as much as I do. I will continue to tell your story and spread your legacy across our industry because with individuals like you and with the disruption and the technology and the efficiencies that you're bringing to us, there's no doubt we will be a better operation. And I thank you for your parents, for your children, for the foundations of what you learned growing up in, northern China, going to school in Ghana and the perspective you received there. Thank you so much, Jessie. It's been a pleasure to spend this time with you today.
Thank you. Thank you.